Sup dudes, I'm 370. I just wanted to talk a little bit about a tweet I saw on Twitter a little while ago. So apparently when you grow up a spruce tree, it changes some of the grass on the ground to Podzol. Now, this was of course kind of interesting to me. So I was like, okay, so is this like a gradual thing? Like, if I go up to here and I change this to 3000, it pretty much does it identically. Like, watch that. Huh. So it's not turning the ground around it into... But the large ones do, but the small ones don't. So that's kind of interesting. But then I was like, that's a little bit much. We're not testing anything. I want to see if, like, it's a gradual thing, and it's, like, going instantly, but that's probably due to the fast speed. Like, that grew almost instantly. But if we go like this, and... Well, that was instant. But all the pods will appear immediately. So we watch this for a little bit. It's just going to take a little... boom. And it turns this immediately into Podzol. So I was like, okay, we're just going to... Let's turn this down to 30. Get out of here, egg. 30. Maybe let's grow one and see if this... Nope, instantly. So let's just set this to the default value. Now we're going to do that. It doesn't go under those guys. Maybe if we do... No, bone milling it under the tree doesn't change it. But then we go like that, and it turns the grass into Podzol, which is kind of interesting. But then I'm thinking, okay, how about we put this on like a bit of a slope, slopey ground, right? And that's a bit high. I'm just screwing around with the slope to see if I can test this accurately, right? So I'm just gonna see if this works with the slope here. Right? So we're just gonna put this guy on top here, and we're just gonna foam meal him a bunch. And then all of that turned into Podzol. Now, I just want to see... Okay, so it doesn't... I don't want that to be Podzol. So it doesn't turn the grass underneath stuff into Podzol. That's good to know. So yeah, it does work on slopes. But this is interesting because if you can somehow figure out how to make a sand or gravel duplicator, you can actually technically farm dirt. Because with 2 dirt and 2 gravel, you make coarse dirt. And you use a hoe on that, you get regular dirt, right? So you can technically... So if you can get a gravel duplicator, I know that's a little cheaty, but if you get a gravel duplicator, you can create... you can basically farm gravel. Which means that by extension, you can farm dirt. By extension of that, using this, we can now farm Podzol. Which is not something we've actually ever been able to do before. So it's a little bit interesting, actually, that we can suddenly farm Podzol. Like, look at that. Look at that. Like, where would it... Like, and of course, that leads me to the question, okay, but does it... But what blocks can't it turn into Podzol? So I picked all the ones that are kind of dirt-based, and we're just gonna... I'm just gonna build this up a stack a bunch. And we're just gonna... And we're just gonna randomly spam like we create this weird janky dirt platform. Okay, does this all get turned into Podzol? Apparently it does. Okay. Okay, let's go over here. Does it turn coarse dirt into Podzol? It does. So you don't even have to go through the step of hoeing the coarse dirt to farm Podzol. You'd have to do that if you wanted dirt, but if you want Podzol, yeah. So, turning gravel into Podzol is now a thing. And then, of course, we gotta test this with mycelium. Which, of course, is gonna be a bit of a pain in the butt, because mycelium's not exactly the prettiest block in the game, let's be honest. Of course, you can't place saplings on mycelium, so we're just going to place them down there and quickly before the mycelium spreads. And as it turns out, the tree cannot turn mycelium into podzol. Which makes sense, I guess, in a way. Because it doesn't actually get... You can't actually plant it on podzol. But now this leads to an important question. Is there a... How far out can this turn stuff into podzol? Well, it seems to be a bit random on how far out the podzol goes. This one's a perfect shape like that. That's interesting. But then there seems to be like random bits. So there seems to be like this shape, and then other smaller circle-like shapes can jut out from it. That's honestly a pretty interesting looking generation for how this works. Right. So is there a limit? Well, looking at this, considering that only these guys in this part here got turned into podzol, tells me something. So we're just gonna try a few things. We're just gonna try a little something. So we're gonna create something that looks like this, because it seems like the height limit seems to be going down 3 blocks. So we're just gonna create something like this. And that's where we're gonna place our tree. And let's see how this goes. Okay, so apparently it only reached out 3 blocks like this, and it didn't go straight down to this guy. And considering it goes out 3 blocks, now let's try something. Now we're just gonna take this all out, which is gonna take a little while because it's... And then we can do basically that. Huh, it turns the blocks under it into podzol as well. And then we're just going to replace all the podzol with grass again. So apparently it changes the blocks directly under it to podzol as well, which is kind of interesting. Wasn't expecting that, but we're going to have that block there, that block there, and that block there. I want to see if it will turn that block into podzol, but not those blocks. Which will give us a definite downwards height of 3, as we can see. And that would have stayed grass because it seems like the radius is 3 blocks away from the tree and can go 3 blocks down. Now the important question is, how far can it go up? Okay. Now of course, this is going to cause some difficulties in the tree growing. But let's see if... So, the blocks directly under this didn't change, but that block did change, and this block didn't. So it appears that it can go 3 blocks upwards. Which leads to an interesting conclusion. It seems to be 3 blocks upwards, 3 blocks downwards, and 3 blocks outwards. Seems to be the thing. But as this guy would suggest, there's some corner cutoff right here. With this in mind, I'm going to create a raised platform. We're going to have that's going to be the tree spawning area. We're going to create 3 blocks out like this. And we're going to have the corner bit there filled in. And then we do this. And that's not like that. Now, we're going to repeat this process. This time, with this part, 1 block slightly higher. Although the bit's right next to the tree, because I'm not sure if that will interfere with the tree growth right there, are going to be like that. And now I want to see how far out the podzol goes. Now I'm stuck in leaves. And the podzol seems to have gone all the way out. Gone all the way to this corner, which is not actually what I expected. So it seems like there's some sort of radius based on this part of the tree rather than the blocks it's growing on. potentially. Because this is a bit expanded. So we're just going to try this. We're going to try this test we just did again. But we're going to go more than 3 blocks out like that. We're going to go 4 blocks out like this. And we're going to see how far out it goes. And we're just going to go over down to here. Put the tree down. And then seems to have a bit of a limited range again. Which seems to indicate that what happened, that this corner existing like this was a fluke. And that it doesn't normally show up like that. Okay. Which might indicate... So, this is my theory now. The sphere of Podzol, you got your... We're actually going to use Podzol to display this. Where is Podzol? There's Podzol. So we're going to use Podzol to display this. So that's that. It can go 3... That's the blocks the tree would exist on. And we're just going to... I'm just going to... No, we're going to do this by... grass. We're going to test to see if these... See what turns into Podzol doing it this way. So it seems to be that it goes 3 blocks below. So that's 1 block, 2 block, 3 block. So if... So this would be 1, 2, 3. So let's see. If I'm correct, these guys won't turn into things. Perhaps with those extra generated spheres, some of them might turn into Podzol like that, but then they all turn into Podzol like that, which is a little bit unexpected. Let's run this test again to see if this yields the same results, because here's the thing. We're doing tests where a little bit of random, because we saw those random bits that were jutting out with the early examples. When doing tests like that, we want to make sure that when something like that happens, that is a bit unexpected, it's not a fluke. Oh, wait. It's got to go upwards a little bit. I'm an idiot. Right. Okay. Now, all of that is turned into Podzol, except for the blocks which weren't exposed to the air, which I think is a thing that works. Now, I think the blocks turning straight under directly under the stump of the tree, the bottom of the tree, turning into Podzol might be something that gets patched out a bit. So, we're just gonna test this again. But rather than being 3 blocks high, this thing, we're gonna make it 4 blocks high. So we're gonna grow up here, and as expected, none of these turned into Podzol. So, with this in mind, I want to test something. So with this in mind... Okay, so if we put grass here, that would turn into Podzol. If we put grass here... Now, this is a good question. Let's go 4 blocks... Rather than going 3 blocks out, let's go 4 blocks out. I don't know why I'm trying to do this. I don't think this will work. I don't think this will work like I'm expecting, and we're just going to make this center bit 2 blocks high like this, and then we're going to grow that, and it doesn't stretch all the way out to these edges, but except over here where it seems to have generated one of the excess circles. But the rest of it, it's done what I expected. So with this in mind, that's where it would generate on top, so we're not going to place any blocks over here. So we're just gonna... So I'm just going to speculate on how this can actually generate. Like that. Okay. And this can be replicated 2 more layers up on each side. So I'm just gonna build that in. We're just gonna... So I'm suspecting that the shape that the Podzol can... That the full area which can turn into Podzol looks something like this. Of course, we can, as we saw, we can also turn blocks above the base of the tree into Podzol. By the looks of it, going up to 3 blocks up. Now, we didn't go straight to the edge, but this one was a bit of a funky generation as well. So I'm just going to try this again. So we're gonna put, this is where our tree's gonna be. We're gonna go 1, 2, 3. Okay. So that did one of the circle things, and also a weird trunk growth. That's okay. But 1, 2, and then this is going to be the trunk, base of the tree. And it's done one of the weird circle things, but it doesn't seem to be interacting with this guy. So this guy turned out normal. This guy didn't. And so now we just need to do one more test. So we're just going to only build 3 blocks of this staircase. But rather than having it go like this, we're actually going to have it go like this. And so this guy has turned into Podzol because it did the excess generation over there. So we're just going to have to repeat the test again over here. Seriously, this is literally how you actually test stuff like this. And again, it done the funky circle excess circle generations. Seriously, the amount of different tests you have to do to get some good results with this. But no, it appears to not discriminate based on the because the circle is generated, but it's not, the excess generation is generated, but it's not interacting with this block here. So this block would be like this. So it appears that if we can fly, oh, seriously, this is my snapshot testing world, and now it's full of trees and Podzol. That is gonna be hilarious. Just like in future videos, people are wondering, why on earth is it full of Podzol? But if we go to this one, we can do /clone. Okay, /clone. Begin end destination. Okay, so we need to figure out the coordinates of the block directly above this. We also need to get rid of all that text we got there. No, we need to figure out the coordinates of this block here. No, I think we want to go straight from the lowest x, y, and z values. Is this the lowest? So it's -72, 401. So this would be the lowest x and lowest z. So we want to go from this to this. This is me trying to figure out how to do the /clone command. Okay, F3 and D. T. Okay, we want 408, 6, that's a 5, and -72. Okay, and then we go from down here. We break this block. We go from down here, and we start the /clone command. But we want this to be 4, -79, and then we want 408, 6, -72, and then we got to do 401, 7, -79, and then, yeah, that worked. So, using the /clone command, I accurately, so, ignoring this 3 deep 2x2 hole in the center, which is where the trunk has to generate. So you can't actually have blocks turning into Podzol in here. This is where the trunk will generate 100% of the time. Everything within these blocks will definitely turn into Podzol if it is grass, dirt, or coarse dirt. And if it's already Podzol, well, it's Podzol, whatever. Right? So with this in mind, the excess circles appear to be, well, 5 by 5 missing corners. Naturally. And they appear to be able to extend out, basically, yeah. I haven't seen one extending out more than 2 blocks away from the center. Okay. This is honestly... And honestly, it's honestly pretty cool that just by doing some simple testing, I wanted to talk about this feature, but then I'm like, you know what? Let's do some on-camera testing on how the Podzol actually generates around the tree, right? Because, come on, we got it. So I have just figured out how Minecraft can generate the Podzol. Now, of course, if these blocks are all filled in, then none of the blocks below this can turn into Podzol. Of course. And because so only the topmost blocks can get turned into Podzol, as you can tell by the fact that, well, actually there wasn't anything within the range. But as you can tell by the fact that if we go under here, these are still grass. Those are still grass. They didn't turn into Podzol. Even though they're within range, they did not get turned into Podzol because they have a block on top of them. Which, of course, kind of makes sense. In a way. Let's see if we can find another example of this with this guy. If we go down in there, it's dirt now, but it was grass when I first placed it in, and it stayed as grass. So, all in all, it does appear to have worked out the way. All in all, it's actually pretty cool. Like, that was, like, after testing this a few times and getting the general shape and getting some predictions, this was the shape I expected to check to definitely turn into Podzol, and then apparently it can go up to 2 blocks out in any direction and turn that also into Podzol, ignoring corner-based stuff. So you could create a shape that looks like that coming off of it. Right? It would be a full circle, so if it happened to overlap with this corner, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it would also turn that into Podzol as well. So, yeah. I think we got this. Thank you all so much for watching. If you liked it, please be sure to hit that like button, share it if you liked it, and subscribe to the content. And be sure to have a lovely day. Bye-bye. Also, I bet a lot of you are wondering how I managed to crouch while staying in one point. I'm going to leave you to figure that out.